Right.
Good morning, dear students. We are gathered here to continue emotional intelligence module. Yesterday we are talking about empathy. We was talking about empathy. Uh, let's continue empathy in action. So empathy in action, we should connect and communicate to each other, to others. So improve your interaction with others by tuning into their thoughts, feelings, and needs. Meet them where they are. You should do some activities. We should do some activities just like meet them where they are. If the other person is communicating at just the facts level, start there as well. They probably are not ready to disclose information that would make them feel vulnerable. Once you have connected with them at their level, use self disclosure and open ended questions to seek out their feelings and needs. If they are already sharing their thoughts and feelings, be receptive and accepting, not judgmental and crucial. And also, we should do something that watch for non-verbal cues that communicate emotions, facial expression, eye contact, body language, and gesture. Tone of voice is also important, and volume, pace, etc. If you have negative or unpleasant information to share, prepare them for it instead of surprising them. For example, I have the report on customer satisfaction and it's not good. Then we should follow the assertive communication. We can use assertive communication uh, because assertive is the ability to communicate your feelings and needs clearly to another person with remaining respectful of that person's feeling and needs. So it is the middle ground between passiveness, ignoring your own feelings and needs, and aggressiveness, ignoring the other person's feeling and needs. That's it. Empathy and assertiveness may seem incompatible on the surface, but as well, see, we will see assertiveness takes into consideration the other person's feelings and needs. In other words, being empathetic. What is the process of assertive communication? Let's The process is state the issue or problem. For example, I find myself waiting for you whenever you have to go to a client and make a presentation together. And show you understand the other person's perspective. For example, I know you are always trying to do a million things at once and fall behind schedule easily. State what you need in specific behavioral terms. For example, from now on, let's agree on a time to leave. And if you are not ready, I will go ahead and leave, and you can meet me there. Assertive communication. There are some techniques for assertive communication. Use I. The first thing is the use I message. This keeps the focus on your own feelings and needs rather than blaming or excusing the other persons. For example, I get frustrated when I have to wait for you and worry about being late for our appointment. Exhibit assertive body language. Second is exhibit assertive body language. As you know, much of your message is delivered through your tone of voice and body language. Make sure it supports your words and intention by making eye contact, maintaining an upright but not uptight posture, and speaking in a calm and steady tone of voice. These are the important things. And share observation and examples, not judgments, but you should not judgmental. For example, last week we arrived 5 minutes late for our meeting and almost missed our chance to meet with the client, and we did not get the sale. When you don't get the response you want, then if you have used assertive communication techniques yet are not getting your desired outcome, try these strategies. What is the strategies? These are: first is preserve. You may have to repeat yourself and remind the other person of the agreement or consequence you established. And second is deflect criticism. If the other person gets defensive and tries to criticize you, acknowledge their statement without agreeing with the content. For example, that is one way to look at it. Or even, you may be right, however, I am going to. Whatever behavior or action you previously discussed, no matter. Disclaimed hated discussion. Third is disclaimed hated discussion. If the conversation is getting intense, switch the focus of the conversation. For example, what just happened? You can ask just what just happened. How did we get from discussing scheduling to arguing over who has more power? And the most important things for is conflict management. This is an important strategy uh, because the many strategies for resolving conflict are based on a strictly rational, non-emotional approach. But how motivated are you resolve a conflict if you feel nothing about it, or if the resolution doesn't meet your needs? Emotionally intelligent people use their emotion as a tool to improve the conflict resolution process. Of course, this does not mean letting your emotion overturn the process. Connecting your emotions and needs. Connecting emotions and needs. Successful conflict resolution is based on meeting each person's needs. Your emotions can provide a clue to your needs. For example, if you are feeling anxious, you might need reassurance about a situation. If you are feeling angry, you might need someone to listen to you and acknowledge your point of view. If you are out of touch with your feelings and how they are connected to your needs, then you won't be able to articulate your needs and resolve the conflict successfully. Uh, one more important point is unproductive ways of dealing with conflict. These behaviors indicate a low degree of emotional intelligence, which are inability to recognize or intentional rejection of issues that are important to another person, and negative reactive responses to disagreement or conflict, such as anger, defensiveness, resentment, or jealousy. Aggression, withdrawal, or other behaviors that indicate an assumption of an unsuccessful outcome. Some elements of successful conflict resolution, which are We can follow some tips to ensure that the conflict is resolved productively. For example, be aware of your emotions while remaining composed. Manage your emotions and behavior. Be aware of the other person's emotions and communicate your needs clearly and respectfully. Communication includes body language. Make sure your priority is to meet the other person's need as well as your own rather than winning. Anybody can become angry, it's natural. That is easy, but to be angry with the right person and to do the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and it is not easy. It's says by Aristotle. So some processes also we can follow to encourage the other person to state what is bothering them. For example, I want to understand why you are upset. You can ask question to clarify. For example, you can ask what happened then, and reflect and validate their feelings. It's also important things. Reflect and validate their feelings. For example, it sounds like you felt as though others were taking advantage of you. That must have been upsetting. And the other point is next restate to confirm you have understood them accurately. For example, it sounds like you are not prepared to address that situation. Pursue a mutually beneficial resolution. Example, how about if I commit to discussing change orders before I send them out? Some rules for emotional intelligence, people fighting. Don't drag unrelated issues, past or present, into the conversation. We should very careful for it. Don't drag unrelated issues, past or present, into the conversation. The best way to avoid this is to address any issue as it arises. Don't stop up grievances without addressing them, or else they are likely to all split out at once. Discuss the issue in specific, realistic terms instead of generalities. Use examples whenever possible. It's a very effective. Listen to the other persons without getting defensive. It's a very important technique. Listen to the other person without getting defensive. Ask questions to determine the other person's true needs. Don't attack or make sarcastic comments or other statements that you know will hurt the other persons. And third point, which was the adaptability. Now we will discuss about adaptability. How can use it? How can increase our flexibility? Yeah, how can increase your flexibility? uh, First of all, we will talk about we will discuss about flexibility. What is adaptability or flexibility? Flexibility is the ability to adjust your thoughts, feelings, and behavior to unfamiliar, unpredictable, or changing conditions. I repeat, flexibility is the ability to adjust your thoughts, feelings, and behavior to unfamiliar, unpredictable, or unchanging conditions. In today's business environment, change and uncertainty are the normal. People with high level of emotional intelligence tend to respond more quickly and positively when they have to shift priorities or change tactics to adopt the new situation. Some characteristics of flexible people. First is he is open-minded. He is open-minded and focused on outcomes, not processes. He always focused on outcomes, not processes, and he willing to put aside the need to be right. He unwilling to compromise principle or values. He never want to willing to compromise principle or values. How can increase your flexibility? Cultivating different perspective. So we can do something for increase our flexibility. First of all, we should listen to people who disagree with you. Listen to people who disagree with you. Try to see the situation from their point of view. Then find areas of agreement and use them to create a new perspective. Uh, Second is eliminate either or thinking, change to both and question yourself. You can ask, why do I think this? Is there another point of view? Is there something I am missing? Do I need to be concerned about this issue at all? You can play devil's advocate. Evaluate your justification, reasoning, assumption, etc. Or look at the details, ground level, and the big picture to get different perspective on the situation. Chances are looking from the bird's eye view will inspire more options. Use your institution and logic. If you tend to always use step by step reasoning, try listening to your institution. If you always trust your gut, try creating a spreadsheet of information related to the issue or situation. Most important thing is manage your stress. How can manage our stress? So people with high level of emotional intelligence have a greater ability to keep their composure and stay focused in a stressful or high pressure situation. So things are how can handle how to handle stress effectively. So first thing is recognize when you are stressed. The physical cues you identified in the first module usually also signals when you are stressed. For example, heart racing, upset stomach, sweating, flushed cheeks, and muscle tension. You can also recognize typical infective responses like withdrawing, getting angry, eating, shopping, procrastinating, acting rashly. These are some symptoms. Uh, so, to handle this situation, replace your typical infective response with a more effective one. Often, choosing a response that is the opposite of your ineffective response is a good starting place. So, if you tend to feel frantic, choose soothing activities such as sipping a cup of hot tea or listening to calming music. If you tend to freeze or feel depressed, choose stimulating activities such as exercise or listening to uplifting music. Now we are discuss about problem solving skills. How can improve how can improve your problem solving skill? So, a study published in the Iranian Journal of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences found that people with high emotional intelligence solve problems significantly better than people with low emotional intelligence. This is probably because people with higher level of emotional intelligence possess better observation skills, taking in data and accessing the overall context of the problem, enabling them to generate a broader range of potential solutions. This might seem counter because we tend to think of effective problem solving as strictly rational and logical. Basic problem solving process, we can follow some steps to ensure a throughout approach to solving problems. The first step is define the problem. First step is define the problem. What specifically is the issue? Was it not part of the problem? First of all, we should define. Then, gather information. We can gather information like what are the facts, what interpretations and judgments are you making about the facts, what interpretation and judgments are other making, how do you feel about the situation, and how do others feel. Evaluate potential solution. Then you can evaluate potential solution. So you can do that. What is the ideal outcome? What are the benefits and risks associated with each option? And you think that which option would create the greatest level of satisfaction among those affected, or which option would create the lowest level of satisfaction. Choose and implement the best option. Now we will talking about resilience, which are the last. Perhaps the greatest strength of emotionally intelligent people is their ability to avoid distorted thinking, change their perspective, and bounce back from setbacks. This is how we define resilience. Resilient people are able to find a silver lining and see a hopeful future despite their current circumstances. So, to analyze your thinking, the first aspect of resilience that we are look at is gaining an accurate perspective. To do this, assess your negative feelings to determine if they are working for and against you. When you have negative feelings, stop and analyze why you are having them. Picture a stop sign to consciously and stop evaluate your thinking. Then ask yourself three questions. Which are the three questions? What are the questions? First question is, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And second question is, what do I want to feel? And lastly, third is, what do I need to feel that way? Practice analyzing your thinking. Thinking of a situation that you have had negative thoughts about, answer the three questions: what am I feeling? What do I want to feel? And what do I need to feel that way? The last question will probably be the most difficult to answer. So use the following formula to help you answer question. Right? I am feeling dash because dash. I want to feel dash. I can use my strength doing dash and count on the support of dash to help me feel that way. You can fill up your emotions, your perspective. For example, I am feeling anxious because my boss wants to me to make a presentation to upper management. I want to feel calm and confident. I can use my strength doing lots of practice and remembering the successful presentation I gave to our department and count on the support of to help me feel that way. Developing self-confidence for better resilient. Developing self-confidence. If you have experienced a setback or failure, your self esteem may take a big hit. An important aspect of resilience is the ability to bounce back and regain your footing. Ways to boost your self confidence. What is the ways? First is remind yourself of previous successes. Remind yourself of previous successes. Recognize what you have already accomplished. Accomplishments come in many shapes and forms. Perhaps you made a key contribution on a team, learned something new in a short amount of time, or convinced a dissatisfied customer to stay with your company. And second step says identify your strengths. You can boost your resilience by identify your strengths. If you have difficulty recognize your own strengths, think about how a friend or colleague would describe you. This is the best way. And take a risk. Take a risk is also an important thing to important ways to boost your self confidence. Start small and set a goal that you are fairly certain you can achieve. And if you are not successful, reframe the situation as a learning experience. Change your self talk. It's also important ways to boost your resilience. Think positive and in the present tense. Change problem to challenges or opportunity. Change I can't to I can. Change have to want to. Okay. Developing a positive disposition. A research conducted by 6 Seconds found that optimistic employees scored nearly 18% higher on employee evaluation than pessimistic employees, regardless of their occupation. Martin Seligman is at the forefront of the study of optimism. His book, Learn Optimism, spread the knowledge of optimism in the same way that Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, spread the knowledge of emotional intelligence. According to Seligman, the difference between optimism and pessimism can be explained by a person's explanatory styles, which is described on the next slide. We'll describe the next topic. Because a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficult. Saying Winston, developing a positive disposition. First is explanatory style. Preeminence. Optimistic people view setbacks or failure as temporary, while pessimistic people see setbacks as more permanent. In addition, we can say also optimistic connect negative events to temporary causes, while pessimistic people believe the cause is permanent. On the other side, optimistic optimists associate positive events with permanent causes, while pessimists associate them with temporary causes. Optimistic people keep setbacks separate from the rest of their life. In other words, a setback in one part of their job or life does not mean their entire life or job is a failure. Pessimists believe that opposite. One bad event means their whole life or job is a failure. Personalization. Optimistic people attributes positive events to their own abilities and negative events to external circumstances, while pessimistic people are just the opposite. They attribute negative events to themselves, blame and positive events to external circumstances. They always blame. So, the most important thing, how to develop an optimistic outlook. For this, we can try to use healthy self-talk, keep a gratitude journal, keep a gratitude every evening, record at least three things that went well or that you appreciate about the day. And one most important thing is minimize negative influences, whether people or news. Spend your time focusing on positive people and inputs. And other important things is act as if. As you develop your positive outlook, you might have to force yourself to look on the bright side. We are not suggesting that you always bottle up your negative feelings. However, just like other habits, this one takes practice and may feel unnatural at first. And one thing you can do, exercise your sense of humor. Who make you laugh? Be in regular touch with that person. What make you laugh? Do, watch, read more of that. So now we will discuss about negative and positive thoughts, which are mm, it's important things. Are you positive or negative thinker? Because maximum things are based on your thinking. Are you positive or negative thinkers? Positive, as we know that positive thinking helps with stress management and can even improve your health. Practice overcoming negative self-talk uh, with examples I can give, just like is your glass half empty or half full? How you answer these old questions about positive thinking may reflect your outlook on life, your attitude towards yourself, and whether you are optimistic or pessimistic, and it may even affect your health. Indeed, some studies shows that personality traits such as optimism and pessimism can affect many areas of your health and well-being. The positive thinking that usually comes with optimism is a key part of effective stress management, and effective stress management is associated with many health benefits. You know very well. Uh, if you tend to be pessimistic, don't despair. You can learn positive thinking skills, understanding positive thinking, and self talk. So, positive thinking does not mean that you ignore life's less pleasant situations. Positive thinking just means that you approach unpleasantness in a more positive and productive way. You think the best is going to happen, not the worst. So, positive thinking often starts with self talk. Self talk is the endless stream of unspoken thoughts that run through your head. These automatic thoughts can be positive or negative. Some of your self talk comes from logic and reason. Other self talk may arise from misconceptions that you create because of lack of information Our, our expectation due to preconceived ideas of what may happen. If the thoughts that run through your head are mostly negative, your outlook on life is more likely pessimistic. If your thoughts are mostly positive, you are likely an optimist, someone who practices positive thinking. Now we will discuss some health benefits of positive thinking. As we know very well, positive thinking increase our life. Researchers continue to explore the effects of positive thinking and optimism on health. Benefits that positive thinking may provide include we can include something like increased lifespan, lower rates of depression, and lower level of distress and pain, and greater resistance to illness. Also, better psychological and physical well-being, mm, uh, better cardiovascular health, and reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease and stroke. Similarly, reduced risk of death from cancer, reduced risk of death from respiratory conditions, and similarly, reduced risk of death uh, from infections, and better coping skills during hardships and times of stress. So, it's unclear why people who engage in positive thinking experience these health benefits. It's unclear why people who engage in positive thinking experience these health benefits. One theory is that having a positive outlook enables you to cope better with stressful situations, which reduce the harmful health effects of stress on your body. It's also thought that positive and optimistic people tend to live healthier lifestyle. They get more physical activity, follow a healthier diet, and don't smoke or drink alcohol in excess. So the other important things, identify negative thinking. How can I identify these are positive or these are negative thinking? So follow some things. So not sure if our self-talk is positive or negative. Then some common forms of negative self-talk, which are filtering. First is filtering. You magnify the negative aspects of a situation and filter out all the positive ones. For example, you had a great day at work. You completed your task ahead of time and were complimented for doing a speedy and thorough job. That evening, you focus only on your plan to do even more tasks and forget about the compliments you received. That is filtering strategy, filtering talks. Second is personalizing. When something bad occurs, you automatically blame yourself. When something bad occurs, you automatically blame yourself. For example, you hear that an evening out with friends is cancelled, and you assume that the change in plans is because no one wanted to be around you. Almost we think it about it case. It's a many common cases around us. And third is catastrophe. you automatically anticipate that worse without facts that the worst will happen. The drive through coffee shop gets you order wrong, and then you think that the rest of your day will be disaster. Important thing is blaming. It's a very common. If you try to say someone else is responsible for what happened to you instead of yourself, you avoid being responsible for your thoughts and feelings. Saying you should, saying you should do something. You think of all the things you think you should do and blame yourself for not doing them. Magnifying. Magnifying is also important things. You make a big deal out of minor problems. Perfectionism. It's also a common. Keeping impossible standards and trying to be more perfect sets yourself up for failure. Polarizing. You see things only as either good or bad. There is no middle ground. So here are I given to you some examples of negative self-talk and how you can apply a positive thinking twist to them. Putting positive thinking into practice. For example, negative self-talk is I have never done it before, but positive thinking is it's an opportunity to learn something new. Negative self-talk says that I have never done it before, but positive thinking it says that it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn something new. Similarly, negative self-talk it's too complicated, but positive thinking in positive thinking we can say I will tackle it from a different angle. Further, in addition, I don't have the resources. This is the common negative self-talk we use sometimes. But in positive thinking, we can say that necessity is the mother of invention. Similarly, I am too lazy to get this done. But in positive thinking, we can say I could not fit it into my schedule, but I can re-examine some priorities. Similarly, there's no way it will work. It's a negative thought, negative self-talk. There's no way it will work, but I can say that I can try to make it work in positive things in positive ways. In negative ways, we say that it's too radical a change. It's too radical a change, but we can say in positivity, let's take a chance. Similarly, no one bothers to communicate with me, but we can say, I will see if you can open the channels of communication. Further, I am not going to get any better at this. I will give it another try. This is the positive, optimistic, positive thinking or optimistic. I'm not going to get any better at this. I will give it another try. These are some common questions which can we can try to putting positive thinking into practice to positive, negative to a positive thinking. Some common things is that focusing on positive thinking. It's an important thing if we learn to focus on positive thing, then we can save the negative thinking automatically. So you can learn to turn negative thinking into positive thinking. The process is very simple, but it does take time and practice. The process is simple, but it does take time and practice. You are creating a new habit after all. Following are some ways to think and behave in more positive and optimistic way. What? First is identify areas to change. Firstly, we should need to identify areas to change. If you want to become more optimistic and engage in more positive thinking, first identify areas of your life that you usually think negatively about, whether it's work, your daily commute, life changes, or relationship. You can start small by focusing on one area to approach in a more positive way. Think of a positive thought to manage your stress instead of a negative one. And second is check yourself. We should need also to yourself, check ourselves periodically during the day. Stop and evaluate what you are thinking. If you find that your thoughts are mainly negative, try to find a way to put a positive spin on them. Mm. And the third is be open to humor. Be open to humor. I repeat that. I always said that be open to humor because it's a very common strategy to reduce your stress. So give yourself permission to smile or laugh at life. You feel less stressed if you do this. Now, next is follow a healthy lifestyle. Aim to exercise for about 30 minutes on most days of the week. You can also break it up into 5 or 10 minutes chunks of times during the day because exercise can positively affect mood and reduce stress. Follow a healthy diet to fuel your mind and body, get enough sleep, and learn techniques to manage stress. Another important thing is surround yourself with positive people. You always to stay with positive people. Make sure those in your life are positive, supportive people. You can depend on to give helpful advice and feedback. Negative people may increase your stress level and make you doubt your ability to manage stress in healthy ways. Similarly, you can use practice positive self-talk. Start by following one simple rule. Don't say anything to yourself that you would not say to anyone else. Okay? Don't say anything to yourself that you would not say to anyone else. Be gentle and encouraging with yourself. If a negative thought enters your mind, evaluate it rationally and respond with affirmations of what is good about you. Think about things you are thankful for in your life. So you can practice every day. Eventually, your self talk will contain less self criticism and more self acceptance. You may also become less crucial of the world around you. When your state of mind is generally optimistic, you are better able to handle everyday stress in more constructive way. That ability may contribute to the widely observed health benefits of positive thinking. So, hope, dear students, you will understand it's in very easy term and you will follow it in your life. So, uh, we will meet in next session. So, for today, I am going back. Thank you so much.